Yes, Reed. Farewell, Reed. Farewell, our sweet, hairy Hawaiian chinchilla. It's been real. I promise when he comes back, he's going to be wearing this right here. This hoodie, this red hoodie. Put $100 on it. Jeff Ulrich, thanks for sticking around and hanging out for this Wednesday edition of the Slate. How you doing today, bud?
I'm doing great. I mean, I took care of my personal business before the show, unlike some non-professional members of the show, but that's okay. I'm here. We'll talk NFL. We'll talk golf. We'll talk about why Kirk Cousins stinks. Oh, never mind. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey,
I told you. I nailed it.
Rule number one, if you're going to be on air, you need a beverage, because last thing you want is to be choking on air and searching for a beverage that you don't have. Okay.
Okay. Guys, it is so good to have both of you here today. We are going to, as Jeff teased a little bit, what we'll be discussing in this show. If anyone follows you two on Twitter, they've been able to witness the ridiculous heated battle that you two are making very personal with your opinions, your opposite opinions on Kirk Cousins. So yeah, we'll try to keep it together here today. We will start with just the main slate, like overall on Sunday, guys. Bye weeks aren't going to start until like week 6. So it's another loaded 16 game NFL slate. Yes. Whoever is sharing his screen, you're doing a tremendous job.
Thank you.
So we've been talking on the sweat the past 3 days, all of us here, about some of these spreads on Sunday. Which one would you say is your lock of the week, Reed T. Fowler?
The 16. No, I don't think that's my lock of the week.
That is ridiculous. We can talk about that in a sec.
I mean, looking at this board, and you'll see these numbers. You might see these numbers change while we're talking about them. You know what? This is the week, and I want to get your guys' take as well. Maybe it's different, Jeff and Emerson, about when you get the upsets, right? Because now, right, we have 3 weeks under our belt, and this is when we think we know as much as we do about these teams and how it's going to progress for the next 15 weeks, right? 17, 18 weeks. And that's not the case. And so I'm trying to figure out right here where I don't want to get duped into something, because we've seen teams like Baltimore almost lost straight up to Detroit last week, right? They got lucky. Like Detroit didn't cover what they needed to and allow them to even have a chance, but they got lucky. And all kudos out to Justin Tucker making that kick. He's the best kicker in football, probably ever. My personal favorite is Jason Elam. Shout out University of Hawaii. Fantastic. Play for the Broncos, but I digress.
Didn't Matt Prater beat his record though eventually?
He did. But I'd say my lock of the week is Tampa Bay -7. Like, I mean, I just do not think New England, especially with James White, he's going to be out for the rest of the year, but we knew he was going to be out for at least 6 weeks with that hip subluxation I don't know how to pronounce that. It's just a broken hip essentially, but now he's out for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And what's huge about that is not so much his ability to catch the ball in the backfield, but to pass protect. He was their best player, or their best running back in pass pro. And that's going to be big for a rookie quarterback. He needs that extra protection as a rookie quarterback. And his pass catchers are essentially catching it. And he's only got one guy to throw to in Jacoby Myers. And Kendrick Bourne is your second best receiver against Tampa Bay and that front seven. So if I had a lock of the week, Tampa Bay -7, which is a lot of points, it's not a key number. Maybe you want to wait until it gets off of that key number. But right now, Tampa Bay is looking good.
Yeah, Jeff, it's hard to disagree with everything Reed just said, because the Bucs are going to be stopping the run. They're going to be pressuring Mac Jones. You know how pissed off Tom Brady is. And I think he's going to be throwing the hell out of the football to Rob Gronkowski. And now Antonio Brown is coming off the COVID list.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I have, again, the Patriots are good at making games ugly. And they did this last year, even when they weren't very good. You know, they played close games against some elite teams. Like, they played the Chiefs pretty close. They played the Bills pretty close. It's the only thing that has me a little worried here. Reed's right. I'm not suggesting the Patriots are a bet. I just this might be a game I'm just less bullish on the Bucs, even though that would be the side I'd be forced to choose. So that's an absolutely fine pick. It'll probably work out if we're being honest. I mean, there's just too much. There's too much history. There's too much, just talent on the Tampa Bay side of the ball. It's going to be motivated. So I understand that pick, and I don't even mind it. For me, this is an interesting question because if you'd asked me this yesterday at this time, the Arizona Cardinals were plus 5.5. They may have even been plus 6 at one point. I love that bet against the Rams. I think this defense has been just as good as LA's. They're really limiting against the pass. I think that's going to be a little bit tougher for Matthew Stafford to move the ball. I think the Cardinals can move the ball on the ground. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't like it as much at plus 4 though, because that is a big line movement. So if you got it yesterday, great. If you didn't, I'm actually going to say the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know this line has moved big too. We talked about it early in the week at minus 5.5, but I just saw the Philadelphia Eagles play the worst game of football probably of the year. I mean, that offensive line was out to lunch. Their offense, terrible. I mean, this now you're asking this team to get it together on a short week. Like this team became unraveled last week. And you could just see, like, nobody, like the coach doesn't know what's going on there.
No.
Now you've got Patrick Mahomes coming to town mad. And I know the Chiefs haven't been great, but look, the Chiefs are a good team. Like, they'll be fine. Even at minus 7, I don't think this one's moved enough. Like, this will probably get up to 8 or 8.5 by game time. And it should. I still think the Chiefs are being undervalued here, mainly because the Eagles are so bad right now. And I don't think they get anything together in a short.
You think this is worse than Detroit? Or not Detroit, excuse me, Chicago?
Well, I mean, Chicago's definitely up there. Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, Chicago, same kind of effort last week. I guess I think they were worse. I think the only thing that held the Eagles together in that game was having Jalen Hurts back there, who, you know, he wants to take the blame.
He looked terrible at times. He looked terrible. And you know what? If Gardner Minshew, you guys know I love him, but that's just some being unbiased. Be quiet. If he was not inactive, it would have made sense to put him in there. At least see what you have for the Eagles, because there's no way he could have been worse than the way Hurts looked late in that game. Reid, grow up.
I'm not going to defend Jalen Hurts, but like, he was about the 8th probably thing wrong, and he wasn't like the biggest thing wrong there, man. Like that, when your O-line takes a holding call every series, when your defense literally can't stop the run, you're gonna and it is taking like a massive amount of penalties. Well, it was an all-around effort. So I don't know. Whatever your opinion on Hurts is, I think this line too small still.
Reid kind of go ahead, Reid. You got something?
No, I was just gonna say 2 run plays. I mean, 2.
Yeah, I mean
2 run plays. Miles Sanders. That's it. That is not going to win you any games. So to that point, right? Nick Sirianni, he's still young in his coaching head coaching career, right? This is his first head coaching job, and that's why I would argue that Matt Nagy and the Bears are worse. And I would urge everybody to search for Dan Orlovsky's soliloquy, his little homage to his feelings about Chicago Bears, because it is something to think about. Not saying it's true. Just do yourself a favor and watch that. He has some pretty poignant parts and points that he makes about what happened. The reason why I would argue, Jeff, that the Bears are worse is because of what they're doing to that entire organization.
to their quarterback, their
right to
quarterback. Yeah.
Well, not just Fields, but I think you and I talked about it with Emerson too. It's like, look at what they've done with Trubisky.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing. Trubisky was a top 5 pick, I believe. And he had a lot of the qualities that you want in a quarterback right now, right? He had the ability to rush. We've seen him throw up big games. We've seen him be accurate and have a strong arm. When he was coming out of UNC, he didn't play a lot of games. So he kind of had that Trey Lance type of prospect to him, but he was a talented player that the Bears moved up to get. And what happened? He didn't do anything, right? It is a scheme. And I think we don't focus enough on how many coaches are completely obnoxious about their scheme.
Yep.
Right. Fields, this is what it looked like to me. I want Justin Fields to fit into my scheme. And if he can't, then he's going to be 3rd string, as opposed to let's plan to make Justin Fields the focal point of our offense because he is the franchise quarterback for the next 10 years. And if you can't do that as a head coach, and all you're going to do is give you 5 guys to go up against Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney and have those guys go one-on-one for the entire game, that to me is putting some sort of hurt on your quarterback and your entire organization. So with that, and like, it wasn't just them being bad. It was also the staff being bad. It was also everyone else being bad with him. Justin Fields did not play a good game either, right? He didn't have any redeeming qualities in that game either, but he wasn't getting any help.
And you have people apologizing to Mitch Trubisky, like all over Twitter, including Ryan Clark. Everyone know, big time broadcaster apologized to Mitch Trubisky. He says, "Hey, he admitted. He said Nagy sucks." I don't know. Maybe Mitch wasn't the problem,
right? I mean,
as you
have a generational talent. I'll see generational, right? Because Fields will still. I mean, he's not like an Andrew Luck, right? He's not that.
No, he's not.
He's a guy who played in a big program, who had big wins against players who are in the NFL right now, top, round one draft picks who are making a dent on their respective teams. Excuse me. Like, this is a talent that you have, and finally you have a quarterback in there that you think, that the whole city thinks, that the entire industry thinks can be something good. And what do? That's the product you put out there. Guy had 180 days to prepare for Justin Fields. 180, not 8, 180. And this is what you do. You keep that guy in the pocket. You don't move the pocket once for him.
Well,
come on, man.
Look, the good news here, I mean, Matt Nagy might be fired Monday if you believe the reports out of here.
Sorry,
so let's go, Detroit.
Really?
Like, let's go.
Okay.
I mean, That's an
ugly game too.
It's an ugly game. David Montgomery probably, you know what's probably going to happen. David Montgomery's probably going to rush for 150 yards. The Bears will win this by 3, and Matt Nagy will probably get another 3 weeks of destroying Justin Fields' career. So that's probably what'll happen. But go Detroit for now.
And my only thing, just going back to Kansas City real quick, they've been terrible like covering, Jeff.
They have,
right?
I know, I get it.
Especially on the road and as a road favorite here. Oh my God. 1-5 in the last 6.
And you're right. Their spread record not good, but this really speaks to what I think they're going up against, man. Like, the Eagles are shambles. You saw a coach who, kind of like Matt Nagy, like he's like trying to pass the ball a million times in a spot where he's got Miles Sanders and a running quarterback. Like, he just looks so lost, and I think that's going to carry over. And now he's got Andy Reid and these like crazy concepts that he's going to be dialing up, man. No, I really think this is a place where you have to trust the Chiefs. And I know this is a massive public bet. Like, I get it, but sometimes things are too good to be true. And sometimes you just need to trust what you're seeing. And I'm telling you, man, like, I have not seen a team that discombobulated, outside of the Nagy stuff, just like the Eagles in a long time. So, if you got it at -5.5, that's great. But I still think it's 7, man. This has another point or two to move up.
Yep.
Dude, almost 10 points more than that is what the Bills are laying at home against the Texans. How insane is that? Reed, it seems ridiculous. I know they have the offensive like firepower to get up early and big, but Texans do have a win. I know it's against the Jags, but wow, how difficult has it got to be covering a 16-point spread here, dude?
Yeah, I mentioned it on the Sweat this morning that since 2010, there have been 5 games that have had a spread at 16 points. And the away team, Emerson, have covered, they're 2-1-1 in covering ATS. So historically, that number is extremely hard to cover.
Yep.
Having said that, this has a feel, and no offense to any mid-majors out there, but it has a feel of Alabama versus, like Appalachian. Actually, Appalachian State's pretty good. Right, like it has that feel to it where it's like week 1 in NCAA in college football, and this is, or like homecoming for one of these big 5 teams. So yeah, I mean, like Davis Mills looked okay, right? On a short week, he looked okay preparing for that Thursday night game. Now, how much of that was that the defense didn't have any time to prepare for Davis Mills last week, as opposed to how good he was? The one thing you like about Houston, though, is that they have players that aren't just going to roll over. Like, they have the Mark Ingrams. Brandon Cooks is getting like a 45% target share. So you do like that.
Like 20 fantasy points last week.
Right. But that plays right into the Buffalo defense's strength, which is their secondary. Their secondary is great. And if you can take away Brandon Cooks, what else do you have? That's the big thing. But easy, like, I don't know if this is necessarily an easy cover, Jeff, but man, like, yeah, Buffalo looks good.
Yeah. All right, so it's interesting because look at this, Jeff. Interesting little nugget here. So Buffalo tends to stay hot after big wins. Last 9 games, Following a straight up win of 14 or more points, the Bills are 7-1-1 ATS. I know that's like super, super in depth, but it does tell you when these guys win big, they tend to string a few together.
Well, they've just been really good with Sean McDermott. I mean, they're just a good team. Like they're a well-coached team. They're it sounds weird to say, but like Buffalo is like probably one of the best organizations just from a how it's run standpoint right now. I mean, they're 14-8 over the last 2 years against the spread. You mentioned their ability to get on these runs, and this is what they did last year, right? I mean, and look, Josh Allen had a couple slow games to start. That's not a big deal. Aaron Rodgers had a terrible game to start too. But what we saw from Josh Allen, he last week, completion percentage 77%. His yards per attempt were almost 9, like big better than last year against the Washington defense that was supposed to be good. I mean, that maybe they're not really very good, but regardless, that's the real Josh Allen. That's the real Bills. And now they get the Texans. All spreads that are over 2 touchdowns are tough to cover, but like there's no universe here where I don't really see the Bills winning this by 10 or less, which means that at the very least, this is going to be in play late for Buffalo to cover. I don't know, man. I would wait to see maybe if this gets down a little bit, like 14.5 and some supposed sharp money tries to come in on the Texans, but I don't see much sharp money getting behind the Texans here. And I don't really think there's a reason to, quite frankly. I would still take the Bills here.
We do have some questions from some of our loyal viewers and loyal lovers.
Yeah, who's in there?
Here we go. First time playing Fortnite.
Yeah. What's up, first time?
Reed and Moose and the most jacked dude ever, Emerson, says Bengals, Titans, or Saints for Survivor pool.
Oh,
yeah. What do you think?
Look, the Bengals look to be in a good spot, but the Bengals can always Bengal.
Yeah.
Right.
No way, man. They're going to smoke Jacksonville. Jacksonville's done.
Dude, that's okay. Here's the thing, right? This is what I talked about at the top is Jacksonville. They were competitive for a half with Arizona, right? How much of that was Arizona? How much of that?
They come out in the second half and there's so much. They're like the only team that goes into halftime and comes out of halftime worse than they are in the first half.
But it takes a little bit of time, right? It takes a little bit of time. And I would argue that Jacksonville, because you have someone like Trevor Lawrence, who can bring you back into games with his ability, that the Bengals are a scary one, right? Like that's a scary one that I kind of want to stay away from because it's Thursday night. It's a short week. We saw what happened with Christian McCaffrey and the Panthers. Like if the Bengals, if Joe Burrow gets hurt, right? Who knows, right? Who knows what happens on a Thursday night? You have young players on that Cincinnati team and you have Jacksonville. Like it should be a win, but why is the line 7.5? If it's like if it was going to be a dominating performance, why is that line only 7.5? The other ones were like the Saints. Again, the Giants, that kind of scares me as well. I like that you're trying to choose home teams, but that one kind of scares me as well. If I had to choose, like Tennessee is definitely there, definitely in play. Like obviously Buffalo at 16. Like it's still early, so you don't have to take chances necessarily. But I think the one that scares me the most is the Jacksonville-Cincinnati game because Arizona, a lot of people picked Arizona last week and were clenching tight. After the first half.
Those cheeks were very tight after 2 quarters. That's for sure.
People chose Baltimore, man. Oh my God.
Yeah. So it was and Baltimore. Exactly. So it was the Saints, right? The Bengals. And was it the last one? Was it the Titans?
Yeah. The Titans. I think that's where I would go personally. Yeah. I kind of agree with you. Like the Saints, honestly, the Saints probably make the most sense. They're at home. Like I think Alvin Kamara is just going to rush through this Giants defense. The Giants are just, God.
And both the receivers too, Jack.
But and again, if both Giants receivers are out, I think honestly that would make me lean the Saints. If maybe Shepard plays or something like that, or I haven't checked their status yet today, but if Shepard came back, I would probably lean Titans. I think the Titans always like to make things a little bit more dramatic than they should be, but like they're the Titans. They usually get things done, even if they fall behind by a touchdown. They'll score like 3 times in a row and take care of this. So I think I would actually lean Tennessee, but if those receivers for the Giants were out, I would probably go Saints.
Well, the receivers too for Tennessee, AJ Brown is dealing with a hamstring. He might be out, and and Julio Jones. He's got an injury too as well, and he might be out for a couple of weeks. So monitor that because if those 2 guys are out, you still got You still got Derrick Henry against the Jets defense. Like that's not going to hurt you.
That's probably
all
enough. Yeah,
that's going to be
enough.
That'll probably be enough.
Jude, another question there. Should we take the Lions in Survivor this week and pray this is their only win? Going back to that Lions-Bears game.
Man, again, like
I
I don't know.
if Lions do win, you could be looking at a new head coach next week in Chicago.
Like, I don't know if like you need to take a chance in week 4 though, right, Jeff? Like, I don't think it's like you don't want to take yourself out too early. Now, if this is the spot to take them, yeah, this is probably because what is their schedule coming up? Right. Like, I don't think they're going to play, like, especially if Jeff's boy comes out under center, Nick Foles. Absolutely. Absolutely. I would choose the Lions. But if it's Fields, like they like Fields has a chance to pick apart this Lions defense. They don't have Jamie Collins anymore on defense. They don't have a pass rush like Cleveland at all. And the secondary for Detroit is absolutely under the gun right now because they're just hurt all over the place. So there is one spot to choose the Lions.
I mean,
this might be it, but I don't know.
I'm not going to speak too bad about my best bud, but it's a pretty tough spot to come in with under a Matt Nagy offense to come in cold, especially with the way the Bears O-line is playing. So Reed is correct. If it's Dalton or Foles, I'll be smashing Detroit money line. Personally. Fields at least has a chance, to pull this out, and he might save Matt Nagy's career if he starts. Who knows? Or at least for a week, anyways. If you want kind of a low owned pivot for a survivor, I might actually think about taking the Seahawks if you want to get a little crazy. They're underdogs, I know, but if you just, I really think they have a good chance for the upset there. Haven't played too bad the last 2 weeks, but San Francisco's defense is really, it's banged up. So I don't know. That's just something I'll throw out there. It's not, again, not really a team you should be taking, but I guess we want to get a little crazy.
What do you guys think? We could get into DFS for Sunday really quick. You guys both have a Slate approved pick, a guy that you're absolutely putting in your roster, Jeff, for Sunday.
Yeah, no, absolutely. For me, it's going to be DEEBO Samuel, man. People just keep I don't know why there's not more hype about DEEBO Samuel right now. I mean, he's averaging 10 targets per game. He's leading the league in terms of wide receivers and yards after the catch. Again, this guy is big play. And he's the de facto number one option for the 49ers. He's the one getting the short dump off passes so he can run after the catch. He's getting targeted downfield. Now he's playing Seattle. We just saw what Justin Jefferson did to this secondary, man. I hope people just continue to not play him because he's a fantastic play at under 7K here. He should be up there with Metcalf and Jefferson in price. He's a value again. Just keep playing DEEBO Samuel, man, all year. I'm telling you, until the field catches up and is like, oh, this guy's good. He'll probably be 9K by then. So, when he's this price, just keep playing him.
Yeah. What about you, feller?
I'm going to the running back position. I'm try my hardest to get these top guys in. Getting Kamara in at 84, trying to get Derrick Henry in at 8,800 as much as possible. Get one of these guys in your lineup because the matchups, and even Nick Chubb, I'd argue, Jeff, as well. Nick Chubb did not have a decent game last week, and that rarely happens, especially again. And it was Kareem Hunt, right? It was Kareem Hunt. That's why we like Cleveland, because they have a really good running game. But Nick Chubb is always the underpriced dude. Nick Chubb is a Colin Morikawa, Jeff, in the majors, like last year, where he was always priced at like 30,
I love that.
like plus 3,000 and never changed. All he was doing was winning, and he was top 5 in OWGR, and he kept on being at plus 3,000, plus 2,800. Nick Chubb is always at like 7,000, right? Always. He never really changes. And what does he do? He goes out there and he gives you performances like week 1 and 23, like week 2, 16.8. But what is great about him is that he's never above like 8% rostered.
Yeah.
Like true. He's never above there. So I'm really trying to get at least one of these 3 guys in a lot. I really like Jonathan Taylor. He was limited in practice today, but Miami is not a good run defense right now.
Yep.
And he got 10 carries, 64 yards. But one thing you like is that Marlon Mack was a healthy scratch last week. It's only him and Hines. And that's just it. If you don't have CMC, if you don't have Najee Harris, if you don't have Saquon, all of these backfields are committees. So Jonathan Taylor is another one I like.
Bro, that point right there is why I think the Colts go and upset Miami in Miami this week too.
Yeah,
just a terrible defense. You play to
Yep.
your strength of Taylor and that offensive line. I'm glad you mentioned that because I thought I made a good point.
Good call. I like that one, Emerson.
Thank you.
Strong.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Hey Fowler, wait, real quick. If you're gonna throw in a bunch of those high priced like dudes, where are you finding some value? Where are you finding some cheap guys who could deliver in the points department?
Yeah, I mean, let me just go to a guy that's always, Emmanuel Sanders.
Oh, he's been kicking ass in Buffalo. He has made a huge difference for Allen in that offense.
He's so good that the mic goes down. Yeah, this guy's ADOT is like 19 yards, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, like, look, he'll give you the 9.2s and the 6.8s, but against Houston, like, look, 2 touchdowns. I know that's not going to happen every single game, but Emmanuel Sanders, and maybe a lot of ownership is going to flock to him because of what he did last week. But again, a perennial, like a underappreciated receiver, not like the quote unquote poor man's DEEBO Samuel. I mean, DEEBO's getting a lot of production, but in terms of like not being respected enough, and maybe Stephon Diggs gets back to it, right? Squeaky wheel kind of thing, because he hasn't been doing well. So maybe he gets going in next week's game. He's still getting production, Diggs is, but Emmanuel Sanders is always, to me, mispriced, man.
Jeff, anyone cheap you like out there?
It's kind of looking like a little bit of a rough week for that.
Okay.
I don't mind. I guess I don't hate paying down at tight end, although I really want to play Travis
Do
Kelce.
it.
But, a guy like Noah Fant going up against Baltimore or Mike Gesicki could save you a bit of money. I think you got to at least look at the Detroit receivers. The Chicago secondary not been good. Khalif Raymond, 10 targets. He's really cheap at 4,400. Wide receiver, it's so boom or bust, but I think that's where you kind of got to look for your most extreme value. And it is a week where, Reed mentioned Kamara. I definitely feel like Kamara is a must play. And I think stacking with another high priced running back could give you a unique one, but you're going to have to find some of these dudes. Like maybe it's Chester Rogers, like with Julio a little bit banged up or something that he's starting to get more playing time for Tennessee. A guy like that comes through. So I'm definitely going to be looking down there. There's no one I'm absolutely in love with right now. I think that, Khalif Raymond is definitely probably my top value, kind of under 4,500, but we could also talk about actually what's Quez. Yeah. Quez Watkins,
Your boy.
I love Quez.
I feel like somebody brings him up every week. Is he like
the
Louis Oosthuizen?
No,
it's your Louis now.
Pierce and I have like a running contest to see who can say Quez Watkins the most this year. I'm on the show more than him, so it's me. But I definitely like him at 3,500. That's a good play because again, I think you need players like that this week. I think you got to try and fit in these high priced guys. There's big gaps between guys like Kamara and the rest at running back, in my opinion, this week.
All right, we gotta get to some golf, but just really quick, can we punch up some Thursday night stuff? I know we touched on the Bengals for like a pick 'em earlier, but it doesn't scream must see TV with the Jags and the Bengals, but there's a ton to look forward to from a DraftKings like perspective here. Oh my God, you are very needy. I'll take care of you right afterwards, babe. There is a Millie Maker showdown. It's a Millie Maker on Sunday as well. But go ahead and give me who you're going to captain, Jeff, for Thursday night.
Oh man. Yeah. This one should be interesting. The Bengals defense playing really well. We got no T Higgins. Joe Mixon is probably going to be the chalk, but I think that's where I would go right now. I think if I'm not playing Mixon, it's either somebody on the Jacksonville offense that you want to take a shot with, like maybe James Robinson or like Chark. But I think the correct answer is, this game seems pretty straightforward. And I think you played straightforward and you put Mixon at the top.
What strategy are you going with here, Fowler?
I mean, when you got a quarterback that's not one or, when he's third in expensive pricing, like that's going to allow me to be interested. It's going to pique my interest.
Yes.
And, Jacksonville's Jesus right now is like, look, I get it. 11
he looks terrible.
Like, not great. 11.46, 8.82, right? But look at the defenses that he played those second and third weeks. Denver's a good defense. Arizona's a good defense. Jeff was on the show earlier today on the Sweat saying Arizona is one of the better defenses in the NFL. And it's true. Granted, they haven't played any stout, and they're not like Arizona is their defense might be because of their schedule. So you got to weight that, right? The strength of schedule. But Denver is solid. Like Denver is a solid defense. So I get it. But look at what he did against Houston. 25. And Cincinnati is not like they're not like a pushover anymore. But if we think Cincinnati is going to be up by a couple of touchdowns or 2 possessions, Trevor Lawrence could actually come up and show up under the bright lights of primetime football.
He's started to run a little bit more too.
Yeah.
At some point, he's going to run for a touchdown. So
look at this.
I agree.
That's cool.
Lawrence, yeah.
So like he's 15-6. The sentiment is that he throws all these picks, but at the same time, when you're talking about DFS, like interceptions are just -1. Like if he gets you 3 touchdowns and a couple of picks and over 300 yards, it's the roster percentage, right? Is how many people are going to be off on Lawrence because of what they've seen with Jacksonville, as opposed to just this one game type of showdown. So I like Trev, and I like him. I like it just going negative with Trev, and then going Cincinnati, baby. Jamar Chase, my guy Jamar, looking like an absolute stud. 4 TDs in first 3 games.
Sick.
He's amazing. He's been great.
He looks great.
He looks great. And look,
yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was just gonna say that draft pick's starting to look a lot better. A lot better. Dude, I want Joe Burrow to be good so bad. And the Cincinnati allowed 0 sacks against Pittsburgh last week. 0 sacks.
Dude, it's a well-rounded offense. And like that defense has been upgraded too, which is why I'm just like super nervous with the Jaguars looking as terrible as they are. You know, Urban, maybe he's a little extra motivated with his return to Ohio, but in the end, like, who gives a crap? And also, I would say the under would be the safe bet. Yay or nay?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Bengals.
You look like the kombucha girl.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Rick. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, we've seen primetime games now be absolute shootouts. Right? The Giants and Washington football team, well, 2 very different teams than this. We'll blame it on the Giants. But like they put up points. They went over in like the 3rd quarter. So like I wouldn't think it's like a sure bet because the over right now is 46. That is low. Yeah. Like that's a low game total for teams that look, Joe Mixon is getting a ton of run on the backfield. They're giving them a ton of opportunities, a ton of touches out of the backfield. But let's not mistake it. Like Joe Burrow, like even though they're not passing it a ton, like 25, 26 attempts, this defense is also making turnovers, man. Logan Wilson had 2 interceptions last week. Von Bell is still in that secondary. Like these guys get after it. They're aggressive on the front 7, front 4. They can get a defensive touchdown very easily. And this could be a 21 to like 7 or 10 game at halftime. And you're 14 points away, 15 points away from just, breaking even on the over under. So
Jeff,
I don't mind.
Yeah.
Jacksonville's averaging just 18 points a game, which matches how many games they have lost now in a row dating back to last season.
Your boy, Emerson.
I mean, look, it's a short week.
I dropped him in fantasy. I had to.
What were you saying, Jeff?
I was just gonna say it's a short week, so maybe Jacksonville can catch Cincinnati's defense off guard a little bit here. But since he's playing pretty slow, like they're passing less than a lot of people thought they would.
Yeah.
They're giving Mixon the ball this year, which is nice to see. And you got to figure like they're going to go with that game plan. Now, I would love to see a shootout between Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow, mainly because I'm pretty sure Joe Burrow would win it. But I would love to see it. And it would be awesome for primetime TV. And it could happen. Absolutely. Maybe Jacksonville runs the ball a little bit better. Maybe they catch them off guard. And then Cincy has to drop their plans and they got to pass. So there's definitely a path to that. If you want to play for that in DFS, I would recommend maybe captaining a guy like Tyler Boyd or Marvin Jones, because if it doesn't end up in a shootout, Boyd's going to get like 12 targets because T. Higgins is out and he's really cheap. So I like that play. If you want to play for different, most people are going to be playing, the boring Cincinnati win. If you're playing for a shootout, think about those cheaper wide receivers and start with Tyler Boyd.
This was one of those Thursday night games when they released that schedule. This was actually one of the ones that many experts around the nation had circled because of the Burrow versus Lawrence battle. It's just, I will say this too, and I'm not making excuses for Trevor Lawrence, but if you've watched these games, half of his interceptions, more than half of them, are not his fault. They're in and out of the hands and breadbasket of his would-be receivers, and they're landing in the breadbasket in the hands of opposing defenses. That's not his fault.
Turnovers can be a noisy stat, man. You're right. Like,
and the coaching has been less than ideal. And I think the coaches will be the first to tell you that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a disaster down there.
Look at some of the quarterbacks that have thrown multiple interceptions in their first few games. Peyton Manning being one of them.
Thank you.
I'm not comparing.
Yes,
Lawrence
you are. It's amazing.
To Peyton Manning, but it takes time. You would rather see this and have him throw 1,000 interceptions in his first season. Who cares if he doesn't get Rookie of the Year? Who cares, right? Like, you want that as opposed to what you're seeing with Justin Fields or Zach Wilson. Get this guy the experience that he needs.
It's true.
And he's close, right? He's getting it to the guys, and the guys just aren't catching it. So he's close.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence is having a much more productive year than Justin Fields is. Let's put it that way. Like, and even Zach Wilson.
Thank you.
Although Zach Wilson is at least getting to go out there and chuck the ball. He's just, their offense is completely, they've also had tough matchups.
Him chucking the balls like YOLO backyard, like, I need to run away from these guys.
Yeah.
So I'm just,
bro, that's like he's chucking it up like you were chucking it up in the DK flag football ice bowl a couple of years ago when you threw 8 touchdowns, and then we had Bukes. We had Bukes who threw 8 interceptions.
I mean, Noodle
it was
Arm,
the worst.
0 interceptions.
I know, dude. You were on, and
I was like Kirk Cousins.
The worst. Oh my God! Don't go there. Do not go there. Do you guys want to go really quick? I think we have about 5 minutes to go. Talk about dudes who can roll a good meatball. Sanderson Farms Championship. You guys up for it?
Do it.
All right, let's get after it. So it's obviously not the strongest field in the world. I think Will Zalatoris is the highest ranked golfer in the field, 17. But you do have 5. All right, we can start. Let's start on the sports book. Who or what is your best bet, Fowler?
I really like Mito at 28. Plus 2,800. But guys, this tournament, like 13 first-time winners have been crowned here at the Sanderson Farm. So it would behoove everyone to take some long shots. If I had to go with the shorter guys, it'd be Mito. I just really think he's playing really, really well. But some guys I like, JT Poston, I believe the last time I saw his number was at plus 13,000. And look, he's missed a cut, I believe, like in his last 3 times out. But he had a runner-up at the Barbasol. And he lost to Seamus Power. He could have easily won that. And we'd be talking about a different story. I think he'd be shorter odds than that. And Brandon Hagee, for whatever reason, Jeff, like Brandon Hagee is always a guy that I like at this number. He can show up. He can play at a ceiling, which is winning a golf tournament. He's been close second at the Honda Classic. I'll keep on bringing that stat up. And your boy, Patrick Rogers.
Yes.
Popped in the old model. P. Rogers, I got him at plus 6,000 because I do think when you look at this course and getting a guy like Patrick Rogers stroking off the tee, he's like he hits it a mile. Yep. So I do like Patrick Rogers at plus 6,000.
Or
yeah, no, I mean you made my Patrick Rogers argument for me. Guy can get really hot with the putter and smash it off the tee, kind of like Cameron Champ. You know, when he won, kind of like. A little bit like Sergio. I mean, Sergio smashes it off the tee still. I know he's 40, but he kills it off the tee. I'm going to go with Aaron Wise, who's also really strong off the tee. A little bit more inconsistent, but I just like that number on him in this field, plus 5,000. He played really well at TN last year. He's probably my favorite guy in the mid-tier. I just think his odds, you know, you look at some of the players underneath him, like he's kind of played better than a lot of those guys. We talked about, I bet Matthew Wolff this week because I think this course sets up a lot similarly to like the 3M and you saw Cameron Champ. He's won here. Cameron Champ's won at 3M too. I think it's good for big hitters who can roll it a bit, which is also why we like Patrick Rogers. And then my absolute dart throw, you know, Reed brought up first time winners, Anirban Lahiri. That guy can get hot too, man. He's been really strong off the tee. He ended last season late. He's plus 20,000. He's been close at a couple events, man. And he shows up to these weak fields. You know, he was like 5th at Barbasol or 3rd at Barbasol. And I think he was like 6th at Corrales. So weaker fields. Again, that's his thing. Big odds. You know, maybe more of a top 20 bet, but definitely like him.
And then anything over on DFS, I think there's 5 guys north of 10 grand. You both want to just pick one of them?
I like Sanjay.
For me.
I like
Sanjay. Okay.
I like Sanjay a lot.
Yeah.
Sanjay's the way to go,
spot.
Fowler.
Yeah. Sanjay's in a good spot. I mean, Burns up there is at 11K. I think that's a little bit too pricey. 10-1 Corey Connors. like this guy's going to break through again. Like he already has one win where he underqualified, but he's been a stud here. So Corey Connors is definitely up there at 10-1.
How do you guys think Bryson looks out there at the long drive world championship?
I think he's going to, I think he keeps this going, man. I think he keeps this going. Look how much fun he was having. Like this is so different than like tour events. He's having so much fun out there. I think he keeps this going.
He rebuilt his image, Jeff, over at the Ryder Cup, like the weekend, and working the crowd a little bit, and also like with the fun shirt and just having a personality and hugging it out with Brooks. I'm telling you, he gained a bunch of fans over the weekend.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I feel like those kind of events are better for Bryson, you know, when it's like narrow and he's got to concentrate on himself and he's really just trying to stay arrow focused, you know, like the kind of the beast inside comes out a little time and he gets a little bit short and snappy and he's just trying to put so much pressure. But when there's other people around him and he's trying to pump other people up, the dude is a good guy. I mean, I don't know why everybody gets so upset about him. He does kind of silly stuff, but it's not offensive stuff. Like, okay, he got a little short at a fan once. He's not like out there swinging clubs or cheating. I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like Bryson is just a punching bag or something. And it just gets taken way too far, way too seriously too. So I'm glad. I hope he is having fun. It was good to see him at the Ryder Cup.
And one last thing, because I know we got to go soon, is that every golfer, if you go to golf tournaments enough, every single golfer, even the ones that you really like, get short with fans.
Totally.
It is part of it. Even the best and the nicest guys out there can get short with fans. This is a grind for them. They're going out there 50 weeks a year. So they get short, and it happens sometimes.
Every shot costs them like a $50,000 swing. Of course they're gonna get short with you, man. If you're being a semi.
It's like road rage for us, you know.
Exactly.
We can lose our temper every once in a while. So can those guys. All right, that was fun. I had a good time. I love Wednesdays hanging with you. This is and has been confirmed through my sources the highest rated edition of the slate throughout the week is on Wednesday. So Reed T. Fowler and Jeff Ulrich. Shout out to Eamon and Daniel behind the scenes for helping us out too. Thanks to everyone who watched. Join us again, this dynamic trio, next Wednesday at 5:00. Love you guys. Mean it. Next Madden Sim coming up at 6:00.